Okay. Before we close up the class, I will show you how you have done on your homework problems. Here, Mr. Joe and you have solved the problem on this for epsilon delta problems. Here, Here, what they did was okay. For in this case, fortunately, this side calculation shows this was made as a complete square of x plus 1. So this delta condition just give us the related epsilon easily. So all you have to do is, if you for arbitrary epsilon, if you choose delta as a square root epsilon, then this implies this is less than epsilon. So this is the done. Here is same thing. For this, for finding the limit of this one, for arbitrary epsilon, if with this side calculation, this gives us the g of x is greater than equal to 2 over 15, and this f of x minus f of minus square root of x can be written as this, which this is smaller than this. Mr. Kim and Joe, Mr. Joe and you was lucky to have this relationship to adopt here. So the 1 over g of x is less than or equal to 2 over 15. So all this makes this absolute value of f of x minus f of minus square root of x is less than or epsilon with this given condition. So it's perfectly okay. But the others here, he made some errata here, and the f of x does not exist when x approaches to 0. This is not the right sentence. The limit does not, limit of f of x does not exist when x approaches. So this is wrong. And mathematical notation should be written properly. You should have a period at the end of the sentence. And this should be, this x and the other x's should be same as the mathematical notation. And also it should have a conclusion. So we were asked to find the limit. So the answer should be, its limit is the plus infinity. So you should have concrete answers. And for this part, for such an example here, for example, usually when you have a linear equation like here, then you will easily have, it's easy to find the delta from the given epsilon. But for the quadratic functions or other the root function involving root, you need some technical approach on it. Because this delta should be solely depend on epsilon, not any others. So for arbitrarily given epsilon, from the side calculation here shows that f of x minus f of x is like this, x squared plus 4x. So in order to make this one related to the absolute value of x, we need some kind of technique. This is the technique. We can choose a delta in any way. We can make a very small delta. So definitely we can easily find the delta smaller than 1. So let's make the delta always less than 1 first. Then make another epsilon the delta value depend on epsilon. So suppose absolute value of x is less than the 1, then from here we can easily figure out that absolute value of x plus 4 is less than 5. So the product of absolute value of x and absolute value of x over 5 can be written as 5 times absolute value of x, which is less than 5 delta. So if we choose delta as a minimum of 1 or epsilon over 5, then definitely this 5 delta is less than or equal to epsilon, which give us if absolute value of x is between 0 and delta, then f of x minus f of 0 is less than epsilon. That's the technique. Same thing approaches here. In this case, for the second problem, luckily we could choose delta as epsilon, because if side calculation shows us that this value is always bigger than 1, so absolute value of this is less than or equal to absolute value of x. So this side calculation naturally gives us this. But here, see the technique here. Here the technique was we need to do the rationalization of this to have this form which works nicely. So when you have a square root as the square root, then you may need the rationalization. If you have a quadratic form, you may choose start with 1 and choose the delta depend on epsilon in this way to simplify the given equations. That's the technique. And here the same thing. And here it was okay, but choose. You have to choose delta which is depend on solely epsilon, like this. Not 5 delta equal epsilon. This is not the right way of writing it. If this is true, then this should be true. That's what we have. And should be the last part of the right hand side should be epsilon, not delta. And same thing here. Same thing here. We have this, then same here we have one part, but we need to deal with this one. In order to deal with this, we just choose a delta less than 1, then we know the x plus e, absolute value of x plus e less than 3. So we have this value is less than 3 times absolute value of x minus 2, which is less than 3 delta, which will make epsilon. So let's choose delta as a minimum of 1 and epsilon over 3. That will make everything work. That's the technique that you should know. Okay? So you can teach others. Here are these are Kim Tae-yeon and Lee In-heng did okay, but just minor English grammar mistakes, and you should fix. Okay? And this means imply, but this means converse. This 21 does not converse anything like this. So it's grammatically long. So you should use the proper notations. And here, the question was made like this. Then you should give the answer. So not just computational result. You should have the answer for the given question. So here the answer is here. Prove that there exists a root. So you should show with this experiment or simulation, there exists a root such that f of x is equal to 0. That should be the answer of yours. Okay? And what else? Here, you should add what? So when you publish it, this nice. Then you may just note who published it. So I can give you a count. I will go back to the Math 1 server to look over what kind of contributions you have made each month to give you a credit. Okay? So when you work, you leave your names in a files. Okay? So to get your own credit. Okay? Yeah, you did okay. This is Kim Tae-yeon did okay, except just one typo. He might be already fixed. I think that's it. Okay, so I think that's all I have to show today. So any questions? Then class dismissed.